Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Walt Cunningham. I'm sitting here with Grammy Award winning engineer extraordinaire Roland Weary, who's going to be assisting me at providing you some instruction on how to use Pro Tools. So, with that in mind, I'm going to turn it over to him. Enjoy the session.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to walk you through the process of getting a session up and running in Pro Tools, recording your vocal, and exporting that vocal so we can import it into what's called a master session. Pro Tools is great software. It's the industry standard. You can take it very far, but it's also very easy to get started and do what we're trying to do quickly and efficiently. So the first thing we're going to start with is your microphone. Now, I'm just using this as an example. This is a USB mic. It's very easy to connect to any kind of computer. So the first thing we're going to do is connect it to the computer. We are going to go to our applications and look for utilities. Under utilities, go to audio MIDI setup. This will be very quick, and once you set this, this will be your setting for the bulk of your work. In the lower left corner, there's a little plus. Select that. You're going to create an aggregate device. Let's name that our USB mic setup. Okay, so once we've done that, you'll go over here and let us select the microphone for input. In this case, it's the Samsung Meteorite microphone. So I'm going to select that. And then we're also going to select our output. In your case, it's probably going to be your computer. So I'm going to select Mac Mini speakers because that's my computer. And now everything should be set up and ready to go. Let's choose our computer, or in my case, the Mac Mini speakers as the clock source. We should be all set. So we can close that audio MIDI setup. Now that we have that dialed in, let's open up Pro Tools. So, depending on your mic sensitivity, we might have to adjust the volume that it records at. I'll walk you through that, but let's set up the session first. So, let's say we're working on a song called Walt's the Best, right?
Good one. I like
Right, yes. So let's select a new session. So you go up to File, let's create new. Let's name it Walt is the Best. There's a couple selections you'll have to make. Usually this will stay static after you set it for the first time, but for file type, let's select WAV. For bit depth, let's select 24-bit. And for sample rate, let's select 48 kilohertz. This is the sound standard that we use for all of our sessions, and sounds good. It's the way to go. Pro Tools will then prompt you on where to save this. You can save it to your desktop. If you're working from an external hard drive, you could save it to the hard drive. For right now, I'm going to save it to my desktop. Pro Tools is now open. So the first thing we're going to do is go up to Setup. Go to Playback Engine. On the Playback Engine, you'll see right at the top a drop-down menu. Remember when we just set up the USB mic setup and the audio MIDI setup? Well, let's select that. Now, Pro Tools will prompt you that it wants to restart the session. This is just because it's rearranging the engine to make sure it works. So go ahead and select yes. We'll select OK after that. It will reopen. And let's open up a new track that you'll be recording your vocal onto. So we'll go up to the top to this menu, Track. Let us create a new track. So select New. You'll select one mono audio track. This is going to be your vocal track. The first thing I would suggest doing once it pops up is labeling it. So I'm going to call it, you'll just click on where it says Audio 1. I'm going to call it Roland Vocal. Now it's labeled. Okay. So now that we've got that set up, let's select our microphone as our source. So in this little menu over here, the IO means input output. So for our input path, let's select 1. This will activate our microphone. For our output path, let's select 1 and 2. 1 and 2 corresponds with the speakers in my computer. It will also correspond with the speakers in your computer, which you can use with headphones. I would suggest you use headphones to minimize the sound coming from the speakers of your computer going into the microphone. So now that we have that set up, let's see how sensitive our microphone is. So you will go to this little dot inside of a square. This is your track record enable. Hit that, and there we go. I'm seeing a vocal level. Now here's the deal. Digital allows us to record at very low levels without losing any quality. However, if you record too loudly, you'll have a lot of distortion, and unfortunately, we can't get rid of that. We can always make more distortion if we want to, but once that's baked in, you never get rid of it. So even if you're getting a tiny bit of level on that meter right here, don't worry about it. So right now we have a good low level. However, if I bring this microphone closer to my face, like with a singer, I'm seeing that it might get a little too loud. So what do we do there? Go up to your Apple menu, go to System Preferences, go to your Sound, go to your Input, and then you have a little slider for what's called Input Volume. Now watch what happens on the screen if I turn it all the way down. No more. Watch what happens if I turn it all the way up. Massive distortion. Not cool. So let's turn it up just a little bit. In my case, this microphone is very, very sensitive. So I'm going to turn it at its lowest level. Again, we don't want any distortion. And what you can do to mitigate that, even if your level is at the lowest volume, you can always back off the mic a little bit. When you get closer, it's obviously going to come in louder. So if you see that a little too loud, back off a little bit. So now that we have our level set up, let's go ahead and import a song that we're going to sing along to. So,
which in essence is the guide that I've been referencing for your recording to
Right.
song or the guide.
You'll have access to these guides once you download them to your computer. The first thing you're going to want to do, once you have your session loaded up, let's import a song. So go up to File. You'll go down to this menu called Import and select Import Audio. So now that we've selected that, we've got your basic file searching screen on the computer. I'm going to use on my desktop a beat that I made for Walt. I'm going to select it. I'm going to select Convert. Then I'm going to select Done. After that, it's going to prompt me on where to save the file. All you have to do is press Open. It will automatically default to where you want to save the file. You hit Open, you'll get a screen that says Audio Import Options. There's two choices, New Track or Clip List. Select New Track. If you select Clip List, you won't see it. So now we've got it up on our screen, okay? If we need to zoom in, we can do that with a shortcut that's Command Bracket. Might not need to do that.
Ron, can you show them where they do it on the screen up there?
Oh, yes, for sure. Yeah.
That's
so
what I do.
Yes, instead of the Command Bracket, if you look down at the bottom of the Pro Tools screen, there's a little plus and minus. So watch what happens when I press minus, it'll zoom out. Watch what happens when I press plus. It'll zoom in. So usually what I like to do is zoom in to the point where it fills the screen. So you kind of have your whole screen is the length of your session. So at this point, let's go ahead and play back the file that I've imported that I'm going to sing over. So in Pro Tools, spacebar is play and stop. So if I hit spacebar, it plays. If I hit spacebar, it stops. This is good, right? It's what you want it to do. So after that, let's get ready to sing. So this is a very short clip. I'm just going to, sing a little bit. In Pro Tools, on your numerical keypad, you can press 3 and that will start to record. If you don't have a numerical keypad, you can go up to the top. This is our what's called a transport area. So you've got play, you've got stop. Now if you hit the red circle, which is our record button, it will flash and it will start to record when you press play. So I'm going to record a little song.
Hey, Roland, did you discuss arming the track?
Yes, I did. So I'll reiterate that. It's no problem. Again, on your vocal track that you set up, your new vocal track, which you've labeled, there is a small square with a white circle in the middle. This is called, if you hover over it, it'll be called the track record enable. So go ahead and hit that. You'll see it flash on and off, red and gray. And when it is working, you'll see the vocal level on the meter here moving up and down. So once your vocal is recorded and armed, let's record a little something. So I'm going to do it without the use of a numerical keypad. So I'm going to activate record and enable up top here. See how that's blinking? So we're ready. So once I'm ready to record, all I have to do is press play. Walt is the best. I'm going to press stop. And now you can see on the screen here, we've recorded our vocal. So if we want to hear it back, let's disable the recording arm system. So go ahead and unclick that flashing red square on the vocal track. And then, return will take you back to the beginning of the session. It just brings you back to the 0 point. So if I play back, we did it. We got our vocal, right? The levels look good. Nothing is overdriven. Nothing's distorted. And you've done your vocal. Now,
what does it look like if it is distorted or over?
Let's do that. So I'm going to erase what we just did. The easiest way to do that is to highlight it with your mouse, press delete, and now it's gone. Okay? So let's go back to our sound settings and intentionally overload the input. We'll get a little bit of feedback here. Another good way of telling that you're way too loud. So we're going to go record again, activate up top, press play. Walt is the best. Okay. Let's go back and change our sound level back to normal before we destroy our ears or our speakers. All right. So you can see on the screen, the waveform is substantially larger and it's what's called clipped. So it gets to a point where it can't record any more audio and it's very saturated. If it comes out looking like a brick or like a square, you're probably recording too loud. So since we've adjusted our level again, let's go back, delete. Let's record arm our track. Check our levels. They seem pretty good. Let's go up and re-record our vocal. Activate record up top. Walt is the best. It really is. So now you can see we've got a nice healthy vocal level. It's not distorted. Sounds good. Let's disarm our track. Let's play back to make sure you like what you've heard. Walt's the best. I think that sounds great. So you finished recording. How do you get this data to us to get into our mix? The most important thing to remember in this part of the process is that we want you to export this vocal file with the same start time as the guide track that we gave you. What's very easy is to just make sure that you're starting from the beginning of the ProTools session. So,
and Roland, if I may also add,
yeah,
this is even if you've only recorded a portion of the song.
Correct.
Right?
Totally. So let's say you've recorded a portion of the song. You can watch on my screen. This is kind of an advanced edit move. You won't need to do this, but just for example. So let's say you recorded this vocal and it's only this little section, but the music is this long. So what we need to do is make sure that the start of the vocal is the same as the start of the music that we're using. So how do we do that? Go ahead and highlight the vocal file that you've just recorded. Make sure that you're starting it at the same start point at the beginning. So the easiest way is to just highlight it with your cursor and drag it all the way to the left. This will put the start at 0 in the session, okay? The next thing we're gonna do is what's called consolidating the clip. This will render it as one long piece that's the same length as what you've highlighted it as. So go up to Edit, go down to Consolidate Clip, and select that. Now watch what happens. You see how it puts space up front and space behind it? So now we know that the clip is at the same start point as the music. This is important because if we're getting data from 100 different people and they all use different start points, then Walt and I have to spend hours sliding audio around until it's in the right spot. But if we all agree on the absolute start point of 0, then all I have to do is take your data and bring it into our master session, which has that same start point of 0. So once we've done that, we make sure our vocal is consolidated and has the right start time. How do we get this out of the computer or out of the session and sent to Walt and I? How do we get that? So what you're going to want to do is highlight the vocal track. So the first thing you'll do is go up to this top menu with this little hand. Select the hand. This is called the grabber tool. You'll see it pop up on the screen. Once that's done, just tap on your vocal track. It'll highlight. And now we're ready to export. Once your vocal track is highlighted, go up to Clips. It's up in the right-hand corner here. Hit that little triangle. And now go down to Export Clips as Files. Okay, so now we want to export. A couple choices that you need to make. First is file type. Always select WAV, okay? The next, format. Always select multiple mono. Bit depth. Always select 24-bit. Sample rate. Always select 48 kilohertz. So now we've made all our selections. Let's figure out where we're going to put it. So destination directory, select choose. Now let's go ahead and save it in our main folder for this session. So remember when we made the Walt is the best folder on the desktop? Cool, there it is. So we've selected that folder. We're going to hit open, and now all we have to do is hit export, and it's done, right? So you've successfully recorded your vocal. You have successfully exported the audio to us. We're going to record 2 phrases now. All right, so here we go. Walt is the best. He's really the best. All right, I didn't like that second phrase at all, but I like the first one. So we want to punch that second phrase. So let's press play. Record. He's really the best. This will allow you to replace a little phrase here and there. Again, it might take a little practice to do, but it is a function that you can explore. You don't have to do it with the numeric keypad. You can do it with the mouse and the transport system up top. So punch. He's really the best. So now we've got that replaced as well.
The reason I like that is it takes the pressure away from having to do perfect takes.
For sure.
So like if you like do part of it and you're like, I messed up that, you can go in and edit the things you not like.
Absolutely. So there's one more thing to do if you do a punch like that. So if you don't have a continuous waveform, remember that we have to consolidate from the start point. So before we do that, there's a little something called a fade that you have to do. This prevents kind of weird clicks and noises within the audio file. So go ahead and highlight your track. Go up to Edit. Go all the way down to this pull down file to fades, hit create fade. Now my default is set to 1 millisecond. I would suggest the same setting. This will make the fade transparent. The reason we do fades is because if you have a break in a waveform, you can get a pop or you can get a click that is kind of distracting. So once you've selected your fade, go ahead and press OK. You'll barely see it, but it puts a fade in there, which prevents any kind of weird noises. So again, now that we've finished that and we like what we've done, let's go ahead and select our hand tool. Or you know what? Let's select our cursor tool, which is in the middle. Let's highlight this whole vocal. All right. And let's consolidate that clip from the start point of 0. So then we go up to, consolidate clip under the edit pull down. There, now our track is all one track. So we're good to go. Let's export it. Go over to clips, top right corner, pull down menu clip list. And then let's export clips as files. Double check, make sure we have waveform selected. We have multiple mono selected. Our bit depth is 24-bit and our sample rate is 48 kilohertz. Let's choose where we're going to save it. Okay, it's already selected Walt as the best master folder. This is great. We press open, we press export, and we're done. That's it. You just made a hit record. Other than that, there's a lot of cool stuff that the software can do. We don't expect you to master it right away. I'm always available if you have any questions or any concerns about how you're doing things. But I think once you get over this initial process, this is going to be the same for every kind of track that you're recording. And eventually, you might get bold and you might create a new track and do a harmony over it. Or you might create a series of new tracks and create multiple harmonies over it. But again, the process is exactly the same. Label your track, chord arm your track, record your track, consolidate your track, export your track, and you're done. Make sure you save your session afterwards, close down. That's the story.
Thank you, Ronald.
You're welcome.